History calls those men the greatest, who have ennobled themselves by working for the common good. Experience acclaims as happiest the man who has made the greatest number of people happy, as Prometheus, having stolen fire from heaven, begins to build houses and to settle upon the earth. So philosophy, expanded to be the whole world, turns against the world of appearance. The same now with the philosophy of Hegel. Greek philosophy seems to have met with something with which a good tragedy is not supposed to meet, namely, a dull ending. The representation of private interests abolishes all natural and spiritual distinctions by enthroning in their stead the immoral, irrational, and soulless abstraction of a particular material object and a particular conscience, which is slavishly subordinated to this object. Atheism reminds one of children, assuring everyone who is ready to listen to them that they are not afraid of the bogeyman. Political economy came into being as a natural result of the expansion of trade, and with its appearance elementary, unscientific huckstering was replaced by a developed system of licensed fraud, an entire science of enrichment. The bureaucracy is a circle from which no one can escape. Its hierarchy is a hierarchy of knowledge. The bureaucrat has the world as a mere object of his action. This is a kind of mutual reconciliation society. Actual extremes cannot be mediated with each other precisely because they are actual extremes, but neither are they in need of mediation because they are opposed in essence. All forms of the state have democracy for their truth, and for that reason are false to the extent that they are not democracy. Reason has always existed, but not always in a reasonable form. Religious suffering is, at one and the same time, the expression of real suffering and a protest against real suffering. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. The state is based on this contradiction. It is based on the contradiction between public and private life, between universal and particular interests. For this reason, the state must confine itself to formal, negative activities. Our mutual value is for us the value of our mutual objects. Hence for us man himself is mutually of no value. Political economy regards the proletariat like a horse. He must receive enough to enable him to work. It does not consider him during the time when he is not working as a human being. It leaves this to criminal law, doctors, religion, statistical tables, politics, and the beetle. Communism is the riddle of history solved, and it knows itself to be this solution. The entire movement of history as simply communism's actual act of genesis, the birth act of its empirical existence, is therefore for its thinking consciousness the comprehended and known process of its becoming. Natural science will in time incorporate into itself the science of man, just as the science of man will incorporate into itself natural science. There will be one science. In general, it is always empirical businessmen we are talking about when we refer to political economists, who represent their scientific creed and form of existence. A few days in my old man's factory have sufficed to bring me face to face with this beastliness which I had rather overlooked. It is impossible to carry on communist propaganda on a large scale and at the same time engage in huckstering and industry. Communism is for us not a state of affairs, which is to be established, an ideal to which reality will have to adjust itself. We call communism the real movement, which abolishes the present state of things. The conditions of this movement result from the premises now in existence. Communism now no longer meant the concoction, by means of the imagination, of an ideal society as perfect as possible, but insight into the nature, the conditions, and the consequent general aims of the struggle waged by the proletariat. All science would be superfluous if the outward appearance and the essence of things directly coincided. Every individual capital forms, however, but an individualized fraction, a fraction endowed with individual life, as it were, of the aggregate social capital. Just as every individual capitalist is but an individual element of the capitalist class, it is precisely the alteration of nature by men, not solely nature as such, which is the most essential and immediate basis of human thought. Not only can we manage very well without the interference of the capitalist class in the great industries of the country, but that their interference is becoming more and more a nuisance. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.